your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us, 'cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast. And this isn't Pete's voice. It is Jacob's voice, which if you've been listening for 103 episodes now, which is unbelievable. If you haven't watched our 100th episode, please do. It's about 3 episodes back. We have a new episode today, and I'm joined by 2 faces that we maybe don't see on the podcast as much. We have David to my left, or the viewer's right, and Sam on my right.
Hello.
How are you guys? Are you good?
I have never been better. We are currently out here on this sort of patio, veranda sort of area.
Yeah, shall we kind of talk through for the people watching where we are and what's going on? Because this is not the normal setup if you're tuning in for the very first time. Sam, where are we?
We are in the wonderful country of South Africa. A country that none of us had ever been to before.
A continent that I don't think... Is that right?
I've been to Africa. I've been to Morocco. But it's a very different experience.
Have you been to Africa before?
No. This has been the furthest south I've been by quite... I think before that it might have been South Wales or something like that. So.
We were talking about this, weren't we, before we came, that I think me and you have both achieved the furthest north and the furthest south that we've ever been in less than 6 months or whatever it is.
Been to the Arctic Circle. And I was like, is there an Antarctic Circle? Can we...
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we're not...
You can go down there on this trip if you want.
Yeah. Well,
It's just over there.
I didn't listen to Mrs. Lebetta in geography in secondary school, so I can't tell you, I'm afraid. Yeah, she doesn't listen to this.
I do.
She might. That would be quite something.
Message in if you do.
If you do, Miss Lebetta, sorry for being so naughty.
No, but I don't know how much we can say about where we are currently, but this is Pajula Nature Reserve, I think.
Yeah.
Currently on day 3, 4, 5.
It's merging into one.
Like, I think there's...
I think it's only 4. It feels like we've been here for about 1,000 years, but
wow.
I think it is only 4.
So long, but absolutely gorgeous. You guys have just been to the golf course out there with Pete. He's had to obviously head back out there. What do you guys make of it?
It's... Wow. Well, to be honest with you, it's stunning. And I don't like using that word because that just feels like a generic sort of way of describing something that looks pretty, but it genuinely is absolutely stunning. The views are spectacular. We actually weren't planning on filming a full main channel video here. And we drove out to go film some swing quests. If you haven't subscribed to our coaching channel, please do. We got up onto one of the tees, which was kind of the furthest out towards the ocean, and we just got on the tee and just looked at each other and went, we need to film here. Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous.
He was like teeing off into the distance of probably like 100-foot drop. It was just
incredible.
Well, this is a rare occasion of you guys were obviously out there doing some filming. I kind of typically normally end up in the accommodation or like in the clubhouse, and I'm normally kind of putting a video together, about to send it out. In fact, actually, we'll come on to this in a moment, but I've literally just scheduled a video that will have come out last night. And I got a voice note from Pete saying, this is absolutely insane. How are we not filming this? And so we had to tweak things a little bit. I think it's going to be, crack of dawn type of filming, but we are going to be out there first thing in the morning filming what should be probably the most beautiful course that we've filmed on this year. Yeah,
until the next South Africa course, probably.
Until the other
we just keep going down. What is this route called that we're doing?
The garden route.
The garden route. Do we know why it's the garden route?
Lots of gardens in it.
Is that it?
That's
lots of garden centres, lots of home bases, just all the way down.
Dobbies.
Yeah.
Christmas tree shop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's another thing. I keep forgetting that it's Christmas. There's nothing to indicate that it's Christmas here.
This is completely going off a golfing topic. I have never spent Christmas in another country other than England. So obviously we're not quite there yet, but my experience of building up to Christmas has never happened outside of the country I was born in. So it is kind of weird to see it.
Yeah.
You're going off this year, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, there's Christmas trees here, but like they're not real Christmas, not proper Christmas trees.
It's not what you want.
They're just like metal Christmas trees that are like in the corner and no one's really addressing.
Yeah.
But yes, I am.
Where are you off to, Sam? Go on, tell the people.
But it'll make me look out of touch.
I genuinely don't know where you're going, Sam.
I'm going to Barbados for my mum's 60th.
There you go.
You're going to Barbados?
Yeah.
An invite.
Not quite.
But it is the first time that I've ever spent Christmas out of the country as well. So I'm with you. This is the first time
It's a surreal
I've been away
experience for
in
sure.
December, the same as you.
Well, if like everyone else apart from us have been staying at home, you've been able to watch a couple of videos that have come out on the main channel. Just to run through quickly, I think the guys spoke about the Break 50 with the Bryan Bros on the last episode. But if you haven't watched that video, firstly, what are you doing? Second of all, they broke it. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading a lot of the comments underneath the video, because there was a plethora of opinions on should it have counted, should it not have counted, what's the official rulage of the Break 50 series, who decides what that is, which I guess probably falls on Bryson's mantle in the sense that he was the one that kind of started it. But in essence, it was the first Break 50 to happen on YouTube. So I'm going to claim it. I'm going to say we did it first with the Bryan Bros.
At the end of the day, how many shots did they end up hitting?
Yeah. Was it less than 50?
Yeah.
But you know the other thing, two people, but one of them is Bryson DeChambeau, who's a US Open winner.
Very true.
And in this case, we have obviously Wes, who's a very accomplished golfer and is regularly on the PGA Tour. But none of them were Bryson DeChambeau.
That's true. That is very true.
So,
and I mean, again, people were saying it was too short, but that's the point. That's the point. You're playing off the front tees and you're going as low as you possibly can. And it was a lot of fun. I was out there to film, and it was a hell of a lot of fun to see it happen. And also, you have to do it. Like I think there's a lot of expectation on YouTube golfers specifically, but just generally like watching that content. Like I think people feel like they are going to play their best at all times. Yeah. And we only get one chance to do it, and they did it. So
it might sound a bit strange coming from me, but it was weird seeing Pete play as well as he did in that challenge as well.
Yeah.
He's actually peaking right now. He's played some unbelievable golf since we've been here. But
speaking of which, one of the videos, but we're not going to talk about that today because that's not for today.
Yeah, so just coming quickly round back on South Africa, obviously we are here right now. Next episode next week, we're going to have Pete back, and we're just going to talk all things South Africa. We'll talk about why we're here, what we're doing, what we've been filming, the things we've been doing. I think we're all probably itching to talk about something we did a couple of days ago. If you've not been following the social channels, you will know what we're up to. Quite literally a bucket list experience, I'm sure, for all of us. In terms of actual golf and what's going on in the world right now, again, in the last episode, the guys were speaking about Bryson DeChambeau and how he was absolutely breaking the internet with his hole-in-one series, which now is done and dusted. Day 16, shot 14, finished, done. The numbers that he's produced off that whole series is absolutely staggering. He just keeps raising the bar. He's come into our world and decided, I've done pro golf. I'm going to go into the side of content and YouTube golf and social golf and just keep making us go, oh, we're not very good at this.
Yeah, there's the salty part of me that's thinking, oh, he's just getting views because he's famous. He's just getting views because he's on the TV.
Yeah.
And then there's actually the content creator side of me that's like, oh,
he's done a really good job there.
He's put probably a very good team together.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely smashing it every time.
Now, was there an ever small, slight part of you that wanted to see him thin one through a window?
Yeah. Well, did you see the St. Andre golf?
Yeah, that's also very good. Yeah.
So that kind of thing again. How far do you reckon it is over his house? Because does this count as a hole-in-one?
It's a hole in 14 days, and however many shots that is, 14.
I do not leave my house until I make a hole-in-one.
Yeah. Well, he broke the average or whatever it might be, because I think for like an average golfer, it's something silly, isn't it? Like 26,000 to 1 or...
God. And
then it drops down to 3,000 to 1 for a pro. Something like that.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
So it's less than that then.
So, I mean, what did he do it in? Probably 100 and something
14
shots?
times 13 times 12 times.
That's too much mathematics on the spot. Not my strong suit.
Denoted by an exclamation mark.
Mathematics and geography, not good for me. I know where South Africa is though, so that's the main thing. But the other, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, he obviously made it, but do we think it's legit?
Yeah, I think so. I think the beauty with Bryson is that he can't be himself or can't react in that manner without that not being real. He's such a nerd in the nicest possible way that his response to doing it just seems so authentic. I don't think you can fake that reaction.
Maybe
he's just that good.
You see, I agree with you, but Mick isn't here, and I feel that someone should probably try.
He's
it.
shouting right now.
There is a theory that he will have already have done it, and he just wanted to string it out for a little bit longer.
Was that Pete that was saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our own Peter Finch.
Pete was saying that he reckons that he might have holed it sooner and then kept it.
and sat on it.
Which, to be fair, I mean, I can see the logic. I can see how that could have happened, because if you're watching day in, day out, like, he was getting close a lot. But then at the same time, I don't know, like, I think there was, in his mind, he probably didn't want to make it as quick as that. The way it was going, why would he bring it to an end? I
get that, but at some stage it becomes like, starts to drop off, like, oh, it's just taking ages, this is boring.
Fair enough.
2 weeks is like a solid social video every day that's getting millions of views. 2 weeks, and then it's like bang.
In the world of social media, 2 weeks is a long time.
Logistically, though, if he cannot leave his house until he's made the hole in one,
that's true. Yeah, he can't go to any events. Can't go anywhere. He has to be there.
Maybe he had Thanksgiving plans, or
yeah.
I'll just make it today because it's convenient. I'm going away tomorrow.
You're coming to mine this year because I can't leave.
I always think of the was it Gabby? Mm-hmm. Did Gabby do one that
it was like every follower,
and she's going to give away money until she makes a hole in one, until she holes out or something like that.
Yep.
And it's getting to a point where it's getting financially very troubling, I should imagine.
Yeah.
And I know that Mick was beginning to twiddle his thumbs and think, it's like now would be a very good time to fake it. I'm not saying that she did, by the way.
It was like the guy, did you see the poker player? The Kiwi.
Oh,
that we were obsessed with it, like, because he was doing this for every viewer gained, it was how much X amount of money that he'd put on a hand in poker. And he just won about 4 massive hands in a row, and he got to some silly money. And then he put a video out saying, like, I can't keep this level of investment up, like, it's going to have to drop down again. So hey, there's a lot of good social stuff out there, but also on YouTube as well, we're seeing some ridiculous things happening again. The bar and the level is just getting pushed all the time, and by seemingly the same kind of people, Grant being one of them. He just announced his 2v2 series with Phil Mickelson, of all people, 4-time Masters winner, obviously. How do you see this go? Because this is, to me, this is quite a major announcement, in the sense that not only now are we seeing another professional golfer taking the step and delving into the world of YouTube golf, but collaborating with our world, almost being conscious and well aware of what's going on.
I find it weird because, first things first, I really see a lot of Phil in Grant. I really think he looks like a young Phil Mickelson to begin with.
Father and son.
Yeah, but like, Phil is made for, like, the big time. He's a showman, and, like, he loves playing exciting like golf shots, which probably suit YouTube a bit more than actual pro golf. I genuinely think that if YouTube was a bigger thing and the YouTube golf scene was a bigger thing when Phil was at the height of his powers, he 100% would have been doing what Bryson's doing right now. It's just built for it, and I'm really glad that he is getting into it, because I think a lot of the people who've been in the industry, maybe behind the scenes for a long time, see YouTube golf as, oh, this is cool, but this is like a new thing. I'm going to keep doing my own thing. It would have been very, very easy for Phil to say, do you know what? I'm very happy with, my life as it is. I've gone to LIV. It means I get to play less golf, which means I get to spend more time relaxing. Yeah. The fact that he's still grinding it out is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, even the first few episodes and stuff that he's done with Grant already, you can, like you say, you can see that personality and that, like, showmanship especially come across really well on camera. Is there any people that now you see or you would like to see in terms of a 2v2 to take them on, minus obviously Pete? I think we'd obviously like to see Pete and me. A lot of people have said about Pete and Rick playing together. I mean, maybe there's another combo that you can think of that Pete could play with. Yeah. But is there maybe like another pro or someone that they could pull in that you think that would do well?
See, I guess the obvious pairing would be the Bryan Bros, but beyond that, I'm just trying to think of guys that are really big on the YouTube scene. I guess John Rahm, like he absolutely loves YouTube golf, from what I can tell. I'm just not really sure, because I think his best friend in the YouTube golf scene is probably Wes. Yeah. So I'm trying to think who I would pair him with. Like, maybe
the difficulty is that Phil obviously is a very good, multiple major winner. But Grant's also very good. So whoever they come up against has to be basically a pro and a very competent YouTuber. So it can't just be like two YouTubers because they'd probably lose.
I'm just thinking the Callaway connection. Maybe they could do something with Garrett and John Rahm.
Yeah. I mean, I think the natural progression for me I see is like probably doing like Bryson and Garrett together, and then they play. Like I can feel like that's sort of like an early episode. I mean, even that little teaser trailer, the skit they put out from the take on Step Brothers.
That's so good.
They obviously name drop Wes Bryan in a kind of horrible way, saying it's like, who's your least favorite golfer? It's in my mind, it just seems like I don't think I can fully comprehend the fact of like someone of the stature of Phil Mickelson and how big in the world of golf he is, despite whether you like him or not. But you have to remember how good a golfer he was back in the day. And he's just now fully immersed and a part of this YouTube golf space, which to me just feels absolutely staggering in a good way, because it just feels like the progression and the things. And I think we sit here year on year and always talk about how, the needle's been moved again, and where can it go from here? And it just keeps moving all the time. So especially going into next year, like I'm really excited in terms of the content that it's going to produce, but also like the quality of stuff that you guys at home watching are going to be able to see.
The only issue with the introduction of tour players is that one of the reasons YouTube golfers came about in the first place was because obviously I imagine most YouTube golfers' first thought was, I want to be a pro golfer. But because they couldn't manage it, they had to figure out a different outlet. If pro golfers and tour pros are flooding to YouTube, eventually where does that leave people who found a home in YouTube golf to begin with and who needed that because they couldn't necessarily? Could they potentially be ousting or replacing a lot of the people that we know, and could it be preventing new golfers who aren't as good as tour pros but are good YouTubers and could be good YouTubers from growing into something that they...
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only counter I'd say to that, and we probably see it a little bit more because of like the position that we're in, is that someone like Pete, for example, the amount of time that, say, a top PGA Tour player puts into their game, puts into their process, their mental fortitude, putting a performance team together, Pete probably puts the same amount of time and effort into the YouTube side of it, the content production side of it, improving what he's like on camera, and not just playing but presenting as well. So I guess if one of these PGA Tour players is up and coming and trying to make it in the YouTube golf side of things, they're probably going to have to lose a huge amount of time practicing. I think you can't do it. I mean, Bryson's a unicorn. I think he's very, very different, but I think most people won't be able to dedicate the same amount of attention to both facets of what they do.
And I think this is probably something that stemmed from the creation of something like LIV, in the fact that people like Bryson and Phil Mickelson have more time on their hands to do this type of stuff. Like we haven't actually seen like a solid PGA Tour pro coming out and creating a YouTube channel and like consistently, trying to elevate that space and consistently uploading to that space. Obviously Wes is doing it, but like I'm talking about someone who is consistently on the tour, playing week in, week out, that, wouldn't necessarily have the time to do these types of things. I think anyway, like in this space, the personality and like the charisma and that ability for someone to talk in front of camera doesn't necessarily translate through to a lot of the pros. So if there's some that kind of will start doing it, obviously they've got that stature and that standing in the game that people will watch, but I think some things you can't replace, and especially obviously I'm going to be biased, but someone like Pete, and I think a lot of people see it the same way, is that like he does come across on camera so well, and that's a skill and an art within itself that he's obviously developed over the last X amount of years, 11 years that he's been doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also the side of things like sometimes people don't want to see perfect golf all the time because they want to see someone who's more like them. Yeah, so I guess there is that outside.
Yeah, there is a level of like relatability. Obviously, even for us watching Pete hit a golf ball, it's not quite the same. But he is prone to a top or a shank every now and then. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's I've
never seen him.
Have you not seen him do it?
No.
I'm sure I've said about this before, but it's a very long time. I feel like I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times, and the first time he ever did it was on my first ever shoot with him. And
you think, what am I doing here?
Yeah, literally. And it was up at Burnley at the Quest Golf Academy place that he had, and it was in a bay, and we were filming some like, I can't. It was either a chipping video or like a pitching video, or it was irons. I can't remember which it was. And it was either that he was taking like half swings or he was hitting wedges. I can't remember which one it was. And I'd gone out of the bay to stand to sort of film back across into him, so I could just get this angle. And he was talking through, and then eventually got to hitting it, and he hit this ball, and my plan was to film and then turn to get the ball going towards the pin. And as I turned to go past the pin, I turned and the ball went straight past my face. And you watch back the camera footage, and I wish I would put it in if I could, because I can't whilst we're in South Africa. I haven't got it. I've probably got it on a box somewhere, and it literally misses the camera by millimeters. I honestly can't believe that it doesn't actually hit the camera. And the beautiful thing with it is I filmed it in 60, so I'd slowed it down, and Pete's face and his reaction to it is absolute gold.
That's funny.
I'll have to try and find the video. Will be on YouTube. Maybe I'll just have to find the video and the link. But yeah, it has happened, Sam. It has happened. And
well, glad to know he's human.
Dave saying that, I hope to never see it again, because actually he's playing some really good golf right now, and that's what long may that stand.
Indeed.
World of golf again. I mean, things in LIV at the minute seem to be kind of moving forward a little bit. There's been reports recently that we'd spoken about it again before, that Greg Norman is on the way out. Apparently, there are reports that they have lined up who they're going to replace him with. Have you seen who they're replacing him with?
I've only heard what you've said, which is something about Legoland.
Yes. So the man supposedly that's going to be coming in to replace the great golfer Greg Norman is a man who was the CEO of Merlin Entertainments. His name's Scott O'Neill. And it seems like, that obviously you know Scott, sure.
Yeah. Oh, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Scott, cool.
all I can think of is they just want someone to come in and just like build LIV back up brick by brick.
I wonder.
How has that gone both over your heads?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Brick by brick. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it feels like, yeah.
No, I'm okay.
Throw some more puns in if you wish. I'm all for it.
No, I don't think I could top that.
I'm going to sit and make some more.
Okay. I reckon we're at a point now where I think Greg Norman has actually been, despite a lot of criticism from a lot of, admittedly, PGA Tour pros, he's been a great head of that organization. He's been very, very good in wartime.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that the guys at LIV, or at least the backers of LIV, are now at the point where they're seeking proper reconciliation with the PGA Tour. And to do that, you can't really have someone like Greg Norman, who has built LIV up because of his methodology of being kind of brutal and confrontational, grinding his axe, following Rory McIlroy around directly at tour events. I think they're looking for someone who maybe is a little bit more wet behind the ears in terms of golf, but obviously has a lot of experience in some level of management.
In being a CEO.
Of Legoland.
Yeah. Someone who hasn't made any enemies, sure they don't have any friends, but they will already have a seat at the table. And realistically, I imagine his brief will be, where we want the world of golf to come back together again.
Sure, yeah. And again, it's one of those things that we're still sort of listening and sort of hearing things on the grapevine of what's happening with LIV, what's happening with the merger, how long is his position of CEO at LIV Golf going to be standing? Is he going to is that going to merge something more into that kind of bigger unity of golf that they're trying to create? It's going to be a sort of long-standing thing to see what actually happens.
There's somebody at the door.
There is someone at the door.
Would you like to go and answer the door?
Am I allowed to go?
Yeah, go and answer the door. We'll
be back in a minute.
Me and Sam will keep talking. So yeah, it will be interesting to see kind of where they go with it. Certainly for sure, Scott won't be able to duplicate. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different brand, but yeah, we'll go with it.
I don't know. I'm just trying to. It's brick based, right?
Brick based
humour from this podcast.
Building bridges between the PGA Tour.
There we go. Yeah.
With Lego.
Yeah.
Lego bridges aren't
I was
very
trying to think of
strong,
something with the hands. Like, he will only be able to hold, like, circular things.
Sandwiches.
Yeah. They'll have to, like, give him stacks of money because that will only, like, fill into his circular hands.
And his hair's removed.
Yeah.
They can lift it off.
That's true, yeah. He can have a lot of different haircuts. They can just...
Who was it, David?
Chop it on and off. Was it anyone excited?
It was Greg Norman asking if we had any jobs.
Stop talking about him.
Got any jobs?
You can come work for us if you want. Who actually was it? Was it anyone interested?
It was housekeeping asking if we wanted turn down service. You guys checked in about 2 hours ago.
Oh, yeah.
So if you did need it...
I could be ready for bed, to be honest.
She seemed very disappointed, to be honest.
To not turn down?
Yeah.
Did you turn her down? Turn down the turn down.
I had to turn down the turn down.
Rejected her turn down. Yeah, where were we? Oh, Scott O'Neill. Yeah, it will certainly be interesting to see kind of like which way they go about it. He's, as you say, certainly someone that's probably going to sort of smooth over the relationships with the PGA Tour. I still feel like it is going to be a case of that something is happening quite soon, and it's just they need Greg Norman out the door to help with that process. And whether or not it's a saving face thing for LIV in terms of they need to create this idea that they are still planning on moving forward as LIV Golf.
Yeah, if I recall this properly, I'm pretty sure they set January 1st as their deadline.
Yeah.
It was January the 1st, 2024.
Yeah.
But maybe they can just like Tipex that out and it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's moving goalpost at the minute, let's be sure.
I'm moving golf posts.
Yeah, well, no, I know it's goalpost, but I'm trying to make it golf related.
I'm still scanning for Lego puns, to be honest.
Yeah, well, maybe it's...
You tried one while you were away.
Yeah. I said that if he wouldn't be able to duplocate.
Okay.
But it's not really the same thing, is it?
That didn't quite click with me.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a...
There's not much more you can say apart from building,
clicking
really.
is not synonymous with Lego, but, it's okay. I like the effort. I'm not gonna.
Sure, David.
You. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
With that case though, obviously, if LIV are trying to create this identity that the fact that they are sort of moving forward, and there are obviously people under contract for the next 2 years, Brooks Koepka, people like that like they are supposedly going to be continuing and playing on the tour. There are, as we know, a relegation and promotion system within LIV, and there are some gaps now that are being opened up, especially on Rahm's team. Kieran Vincent, now he's been relegated out of the team. Now, there was murmurs, there was rumours, despite the fact that it isn't actually a rumour, it was just an article that was on the Mirror, supposedly suggesting that someone like Tony Finau might be lined up / in the process of signing for Legion. Whether that's the case, we don't know. It seemed like a little bit of a clickbaity title, but there might be some validity to it, I'm not sure. But basically, the essence of the article was talking about who is a typical perfect target for someone like Rahm to bring in to LIV. And this is that type of year that we saw players from last year like making that move, getting ready for the new season of the LIV Golf Tour. Is there any people that you maybe thought already would have made the move? Are there people that you can think of that you'd like to see make the move?
I know it's maybe not the biggest name, but someone that I'm shocked isn't currently with LIV at the moment is Hideki Matsuyama. And
Really?
I know that like maybe to a lot of people that listen to this podcast in the Western world, it's probably not the biggest deal, but apparently he's turned down over $400 million.
Wow.
For a spot in one of the teams because they really want to crack that Asian market.
Yeah, sure.
And again, major champion, President's Cup team member. He is. I don't think you can underestimate how big of a personality he is in Japan. Like you go to any golf store anywhere and you cannot move little Hideki Matsuyama. But yeah, for me at this point, I'm kind of surprised. He's never really struck me as someone who like is desperate to cement his legacy on the PGA Tour necessarily.
I think it goes both ways because it's interesting you mentioned someone like Hideki because that's a kind of move that does make perfect sense for LIV. For Hideki, I think you're right. I don't see that kind of he wants to project himself, but then he is also not that much of an outspoken individual, so we don't really fully know sort of his mindset of where he wants his golf and his legacy to take him. I also then just don't see him as a figure on LIV. I just don't see where he fits in to that kind of ethos that they're creating there.
He might just not like the vibe.
Yeah,
he might not agree
for $400
with
million, I could get on a vibe.
Well, yeah, but you might not agree with it in principle. There's a lot of people who the reason why they haven't gone.
Yeah, true.
For that reason.
I think as well, what I'm right in saying that, is it Team Fireballs that was predominantly Spaniards?
Yeah.
And then there was a South African one. Is it Stinger?
Stinger, yeah.
Stinger. So, I mean...
Majestics, which was sort of like this old European retired team.
Yeah, this mostly Brit.
Yeah.
Although it was
Henrik, yeah, that's
Henrik's
right.
in that, yeah. But then, like, I guess if you're really wanting to have a multinational, international feel to LIV, and I guess probably more as something they were hinting at as opposed to their wider brand message, I think they were going to try and make this into a world tour.
Right.
And do it that way. I don't really know why you would not have a Korean team or a Japanese team, one of those big golfing markets, and again, Hideki would be a huge part of that. But again, it sounds to me like they wanted him, but I'm surprised that he didn't go for it. Someone that I think realistically, I think if anyone is going to go from the top of the PGA Tour, it's probably going to be someone like Victor Hovland. Because you look down that list of the top 10, top 20 people in the world, all of them have made some sort of comment, as far as I can tell, about, I want to cement my legacy with the PGA Tour. LIV's not for me. I don't like what's happened to the game. Victor Hovland's been quite quiet about this, and he has been very, very critical about the PGA Tour in the past. Realistically, if he had the opportunity to go and play with, well, a lot of European Ryder Cuppers who have now joined LIV, I think it would be a great move for him. I think it would be an exceptional move for LIV as well. And realistically, you're now at that point where there's only like a handful of European megastars. Like you think of the last Ryder Cup, there were 3 big names for Europe. Rahm's gone. Rory's obviously going to stay. Once Victor's gone, it's very, very lonely.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy, yeah. Now, is there anyone that you've thought of, Sam, that you kind of would like to see on LIV, or someone you just think is destined for the move to LIV?
My opinion on LIV's probably not updated much since I'm not sure how. I'm still not there with it.
No,
I'm not. So I wouldn't encourage or would like to see anyone move over. I think, to be honest, the whole thing still being this messy and this divided is just stupid, and it's terrible for the game.
So a unity is something that you would want to see.
Yeah, but equally, doing these trying to say something that isn't too controversial. Doing these kinds of deals with shady characters is not something I will publicly support.
Right. Okay.
So let's try and keep it above board and nice and non-breaking of human rights.
Let's have a nice, fair sport, shall we?
Well, just non-breaking of human rights. You know what I mean?
Is it, well, did you, Jacob, have anyone in mind that you thought would be a good fit?
Well, I am with you in the sense of Hideki from a marketing standpoint for LIV. I think that does make a lot of sense. I think Victor's a very good point. I think I can definitely see that happening. I don't know why. I just feel like Cameron Young would just take a payday and move out. But maybe that's just because he never looks like he's having fun. And I just... would he have any more fun on LIV? I don't know.
It's less golf.
But then, yeah, I think because he has openly stated that he would rather be a baseball player.
That's very true. He is a prominent face in TGL, though.
That is true. That is true. Despite the fact of looking like a slapped arse on the Jimmy Fallon show talking about it. But
I love that he is the one doing the media circuit.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
Wasn't Tyrrell Hatton a big face on TGL until he wasn't?
Not for very long.
No, he was only brought onto the inside so he could pop the stadium and then extricate himself.
Oh, it's a double agent.
Which again is still Greg Norman's biggest. I think that is definitely the biggest conspiracy theory from the last 12 months is that
Greg
he
Norman
just javelined it.
I'm going to believe it.
Javelin.
Yeah,
I'm going to believe that happened.
I don't know. Maybe. What about Matthew Fitzpatrick? Someone like that.
Yeah, I did think about Matthew, but it just doesn't. It's hard because I think there was probably people that made the move that I would sit there and go, I never saw that happening. And then whether they like it or not, most of the time you would imagine a big lump of cash is thrown in their face, and it's hard for them to say no to that amount of money. Whether they need that to earn that amount of money is another story. But maybe. I don't know if. See, I think that Matthew kind of has more. Why am I calling him Matthew? Matt has more of a appreciation and understanding of like the European tour and that kind of core ethos of the golfing world that he grew up watching. Also, I think like he's another guy that we don't really know where Ryder Cup qualification and things like that's going to go. Things are becoming slightly more clearer, and now a lot of the players that we have seen go to LIV, like Sergio, like Rahm, like Hatton, have all paid their fines, and they're now going to come back and play on the DP World Tour next year to try and earn some points to play. To someone like Matt, I think that he still will be more comfortable finding himself in a position on the PGA Tour where he knows that he can still go for those things without having that concern or worry about having to need any qualifications, especially now that it's changed, that it's only one list and it's just the top 6 and then there's 6 captains picks. That will definitely kind of change, I think, a lot of players building up to a Ryder Cups year, maybe who were thinking about making the move, being in a more comfortable position now that they can kind of create a straighter line, shall we say, to paying at Bethpage back. But then again, that also creates an opportunity for maybe some lower end guys that we maybe didn't expect to see. You know, those people like Matt Wallace. If you look at the list now, it's hilarious. Like if that team got sent to Bethpage back, it would be so funny. I would love to see Paul Waring versus Brooks Koepka. How that plays out, I'm not quite sure.
Wait,
I mean,
have you ever seen them in the same room together?
I haven't. I would also imagine that Paul would be hitting first a lot into greens. But again, that's also the enjoyment of golf. You create these narratives and these stories that you don't necessarily see from a tour like LIV, where it's a lot more of a closed house and it is just sort of playing for that pot of money, essentially.
Well, something that's been suggested before, and again, I'm just thinking now, if they were to target someone who really doesn't have those sort of outside considerations, why would they not go for like bringing in their first female player? Yeah. And making it like a truly like, you know, all genders type of thing. Like, yeah. I know this is like maybe a bit of weird timing, but it could be quite beneficial to them as well. But Lexi Thompson literally just retired from the LPGA. They could bring someone like her in, bring her in for like a single year, make as much money as she ever like could dream of, but just kind of give themselves again a different point of difference from the PGA Tour.
Would that be to include them as part of the same tournaments?
Potentially. I mean, again, it's like there is the team aspect of it, but you know, if it's going to be one person whose score doesn't count, I believe that's the current scoring system on LIV.
Yeah.
Then with Lexi's game, especially when she hits her highest heights, she's definitely, you know, in the mix for LIV. She's an absolute baller. And actually, in terms of driving distance as well, she's not held back by that. I'm pretty sure, unless if I'm mistaken, she's played a couple of
male events already.
So it's not something that would feel gimmicky to her, even if realistically it might be seen like that to the general public.
Yeah. So Scott, if you are listening and you're stealing David's ideas, then a little bit of commission would be required. If Lexi is signed now, Mystic Dave is going to be spread all over the internet with your prediction right there. I have a slight conscious fact that it's getting a little bit dark here as the sun is setting, so I'm not quite sure how it's looking on the cameras. So I think
it looks good. It'd been a nice sunset on there.
I mean, sure, it'll be lovely. But I think we've probably had enough of a conversation for today. Thank you for...
Shut up, David.
I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, I also have to edit this and get it done and uploaded and eat some food and film at 6:30 tomorrow morning and get the batteries on charge and cry.
Cry.
So thank you so much.
We are in South Africa, Jacob, so stop being so ungrateful.
Thank you so much for listening and for watching if you're on the YouTube space. If you haven't already, please subscribe here, SwingQuest and the main channel. If you're not on the main channel and you're listening to this, I would be highly surprised. But
let us know if you are. Let us know if
you are just a Rough Cut fan. That would be absolutely amazing.
But you're not interested in... But then tell us why, because pizza videos are great, because we make them.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about that. No, I'm not going to. Once again, thank you for listening. Next week, tune in and we will be talking all things South Africa and Peter Finch will be back. So if you didn't enjoy it this week just because it was 3 of us, well, come back next week. Thank you, David. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
welcome.
Did you enjoy yourselves?
I had a great time.
You're not here very often, but I do enjoy your company every time you do come here. And Kieran and Mick are grinding at home at the minute, editing. So hopefully if you're listening to this, good luck to you guys as well. Apart from that, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.